Hey, how you doing? Thanks for watching and very happy New Year to you all. I think 2021 is going to be a great year running wise. Hopefully there'll be some mass participation events up and running again. Maybe not anytime soon, but maybe towards the second half of the year. And of course parkrun. I'm really looking forward to parkrun starting up soon. In this vlog I'm going to talk to you about 4 different types of running and why I believe it's really important to know them. In the respect of it's going to give your running some context. I'm going out for a run. Sounds a bit vague, but if you know the 4 different types of running in your mind, it's going to give you good context for why you're going out a run and where it fits into your weekly schedule and where it fits into your sort of goal setting as a whole. So we'll talk about that. Looking at the 4 different types of running that there's easy, threshold, interval and rep based running, and this is again based on the Jack Daniels book, Daniels Running Formula. So he's sort of, over the years, he's found out through his research about the four main different types of running and the 4 distinct physiological benefits that each of these types of running is going to bring. There's also a 5th one, maybe, that he talks about, and that's marathon paced running. I'll talk a bit about that near the end. So really what we're trying to do here is to let you know that there's a context to your running. There's a purpose for each individual run. So you're going to go out a run today, okay, great. What type of run are you going to do and why? So hopefully that's what I'll bring to this vlog today, and at the end of this vlog you can go away and have a wee think about the different types of running that you're going to do. Most of it's going to be easy based, you'll be pleased to know. Broadly following the sort of 80-20 principle that you've probably heard of. 80% of running is going to be easy and 20% is going to be a bit harder. So it's broadly based on that. So most of your runs are going to be easy, but just to know why what an easy run is, why you're going to do it, what an interval session is, and why you're going to do it and how it's going to benefit you. So that's what we'll talk about as we go on. So a few things I'm going to mention is, you've probably heard the term before, but your VO2 max or your VDOT max. So that's the maximum amount of oxygen that your body consumes per minute of aerobic activity. And there's another one that's called VDOT max. That is about your maximum speed when you reach your VO2 max. So your VO2 max, you probably know, has got an associated number with it. I think just off the top of my head, mine is something like 62, 63. That's based on my Garmin watch, and that comes about as a result of some algorithms. I think they've got going in the background, and maybe to do with your heart rate, etc. There is another thing called a VDOT formula, which gives you a slightly different number, and I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. The VDOT numbers may be a bit more specific, a bit more accurate than your VDOT max number, which you'll get off your watch. Looking at easy paced running. Easy paced running is going to be 60 to 75% of your VDOT max. So that's quite low, which is good to know, and that's based on an easy pace. Well, how do you know what your easy pace is? Again, I'll tell you about how you get your easy pace towards the end of this video. So running at 60 to 75% of your VO2 max is going to bring a whole host of benefits. That's why 80% of your running is going to be easy, because it's a low stress level for your body. It actually develops your heart muscle really well. Your heart muscle develops at 60% of its maximum heart rate, and if you're running at 60% of your VO2 max, then that's perfect, because you're going to do your heart a lot of good. Your body might not feel as though it's working that hard, but your heart is. And obviously all of your easy running is going to be a good sort of base building for you. That's how you're going to get yourself aerobically fit, and it's going to build up some sort of resistance to injury as well. All the little muscles in your body are going to adjust and adapt to all the time that you spend out there running. So Jack Daniels as well says that there's no physiological benefit to running less than 30 minutes or more than 150 minutes, 2.5 hours. That's even if you're training for a marathon as well. the physiological benefits drop off after 2.5 hours of running, and are not yet reached before 30 minutes of running. So that's something, you know, to keep in context as well. If you're going out an easy run, you should probably do it for more than half an hour. Yeah, next one we're going to talk about is threshold running, which is a bit more intense than easy paced running. 83 to 88% of your VO2 max. Comfortably hard. You're going to be looking forward to these runs coming to an end. You could probably hold it for about 20 to 30 minutes maximum. But if you're peaked and rested for a race, you could hold it longer, maybe between 30 and maybe 60 minutes. Certainly I think most elite athletes could run their half marathon at their threshold pace, which is quite impressive. So, you know, it's all about improving your speed endurance. You could hold a faster pace for longer. You know, that blood lactate accumulates in your muscles and in your legs. You probably felt it before, your legs feel a bit like lead. So your body, you know, becomes more adapted to flushing out that blood lactate at the same rate at which it accumulates, so you can run faster for longer. So it's going to improve your overall speed endurance. So that's a great thing to have, especially if you're doing, you know, 10Ks and half marathons. It's absolutely ideal, and it's a big part of your training towards those durations, those runs, those 5Ks, 10Ks and half marathons. So the next type of run is interval based running. Again, faster, more intense than your threshold, more intense than your easy. 95 to 100% of your VDOT max. This is going to work your aerobic power. So if you're training for a 5K, a 10K, 5K and 10K are actually aerobic based activities. Doesn't feel like it. Feels like you're absolutely dying, especially towards the end of a 5 or a 10K. They're hard races, but they are actually aerobic activities. So these are hard runs. The way you could probably do this is, you know, practically speaking, you could have something like a kilometre repeat. I've set down the bottom there, 3 to 5 minutes in duration. So a kilometre, let's say a kilometre takes you 5 minutes, and then you'll have maybe a 2-minute recovery period, and then you do another rep, another kilometre at your interval pace. So, you know, the hard, tough sessions, or you could do something a bit smaller, maybe 500 metres, but make your recovery shorter. Make your recovery about 30 seconds. So what's important to note is down the bottom, I've said there, it takes about 2 minutes to reach your VO2 max. So that's the way to think about it. Try and think about the amount of time spent at that specific pace, at that specific intensity. So if you're doing a 5-minute interval run, you're going to spend 3 minutes on your first rep. You're going to spend 3 minutes at your interval pace. So that's an important point to know. It's not going to be 5 minutes, it's going to be 3 minutes. And if you rest for 2 minutes, you know, complete rest, and you start again, your next rep is also going to be 3 minutes. It's not going to be 5 minutes. So that's where the duration of the reps comes into play. If you do a shorter rep for 500 meters at your interval pace, but the recovery is shorter, you know, relatively speaking, you're going to get longer at your interval pace. So it's all about building up the time spent at your pace rather than the actual pace itself, but of course, in order to get the maximum benefit with the least amount of stress, you want to hit your targets as much as you can. If your interval pace is, say, 3 minutes 45 per kilometre, you want to run at 3 minutes 45 per kilometre. You don't want to run at 3:30 per kilometre, because that's putting more stress on your body than you need to. And you don't want to run at 4 minutes per kilometre, because that's you not hitting your interval pace. So you want to try and nail it as much as you can, as close to your pace, your given intensity as you can. So if it's 3:45 per k, you want to try and hit that. So that's where you'll get the maximum benefit with the least amount of stress on your body. The last one we're going to talk about is rep running. So that's your maximum speed, you know, all out, pretty much sprint. And you'll notice there that's actually beyond your VO2 max, so that's going to work your anaerobic power, the economy, your economy of running, and your overall speed. So 105 to 120 of your VDOT max, you know, pretty much sprinting. You couldn't hold that for maybe more than 2 minutes. And the durations there, you know, between 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 meters, depending on how fit you are. You know, 600 meters maximum. So a full recovery is required between each set because it's so intense. If you run for 200 meters, Jack Daniels recommends that you rest for 200 meters, you know, do a slow jog. Active recovery is seen as better than just standing still. So active recovery actually helps you get rid of that stress quicker than just standing still and waiting for your next sort of rep to start. So if you're doing 200 meters, then jog for 200 meters, then, you know, go into your rep-based pace for 200 meters. Again, your rep-based pace might be something like, say, 3:30 per kilometer. You want to make sure you're nailing that pace. If you're running flat out, you're probably not going to be any faster than that because that's already beyond your VO2 max. But you don't want to run slower than that either towards your interval pace. You want to be running at your maximum, which is your rep-based pace of, let's say, for example, 3 minutes 30. Again, think about the time that you've spent at that pace rather than the distance involved. So it's not about, you know, running two kilometers or whatever. It's all about the time. 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is, and building up that time at your given intensity. That's what's really going to help you nail a PB for a 3k, 5k, 10k, half marathon in the future, whatever it is that you're training for. So after you've learned all about different types of paces, you'll be wanting to know, well, how do I actually know what my pace is? So you can get that from a VDOT calculator. It's this green sort of icon here. So if you can download that onto any device that you have, and it's really, really handy. So I'll just go into it just now. So what you've got is, so the calculator itself, it's asking for your distance. So if you just tap on the distance, and it's basically asking you for a recent race result that you've got. Now I think I've done a 3k time trial, excuse me, 7 weeks ago, middle of November I think. So I'll just put in there 3k and my time, whatever time I got, I think it was 10:54. So that's fine. So press calculate. It's giving me my pace. Now, in the top right hand corner, it's got my VDOT value. So my VDOT value is 53.4. Now, at the beginning of the video, I also mentioned the VDOT max value, and I think for me that was 63. So that's a different number out by 10. So your VDOT number is going to be the better predictor for how you're going to do in a race. And again, just looking at that Jack Daniels book, Daniels Running Formula, it's full of pages and pages of tables about how that number corresponds to a race pace or a given race time. So if you're going to go for any number, it's your VDOT number I would be looking at, as opposed to your VO2 max number, which is based off, you know, heart rate and etc. from a piece of technology you're wearing, probably your watch. So if I tap on the training button, you'll see that based on that 3k race time of 10:54, it's given me a whole host of information about the different types of paces and what my pace will be for that intensity. So you can see there, for an easy based running, which again is going to be 80% of all your runs, I want to be hitting between 4:51 and 5:21 per kilometre. That's really powerful thing to know, because I know if I'm going to go out for an easy run, that's what I need to hit, between 4:51 and 5:21. Marathon based running, which I didn't really speak about, but basically marathon pace training offers no greater physiological benefit than easy paced running does. So that's important to know, but it does obviously offer a huge psychological benefit. If you're training for a marathon, say I was training last year and my marathon pace was 4:15 per kilometre. You know, some of my longer Sunday runs would be something like 5k warm up, you know, 15k marathon pace and then a 5k cool down. So your marathon pace is obviously going to give you confidence that you can nail whatever time you're going for in the marathon. But from a physiological standpoint, it sort of sits between easy and threshold, and it offers no greater physiological benefit than easy running does. So it's got there 4:16 for my marathon pace, threshold 4:02 if I'm doing a threshold session, kilometre repeats, 1500 metre repeats, whatever it is. I want to try and get as close to 4:02 as I can. Again, don't want to be running quicker because I'll put more stress on my body, maybe get injured. No physiological benefit to that based on the purpose of the session. If my purpose is to go out and run threshold, I'll go out and run threshold. I don't want to be running interval pace. That's for a different session. And then again, it breaks it down. So threshold, 600 metres, I want to be hitting a time of 2:25. For 200 metres for an interval, I want to be hitting 44 seconds. Or 41 seconds at a rep-based pace. So after all that, after knowing what all your runs are going to be, easy, interval, threshold, rep, in the next vlog I'm going to talk about goals and putting all those different types of running intensities into like a weekly schedule for your running, so you can really maximise your output from all the sessions that you do. If I'm training for a 5 or 10k, especially a 5k, I want to have a lot of interval and threshold sessions in there. If I'm training for a marathon, it'll be more along the lines of marathon pace and threshold pace. Won't be much interval work, and there certainly won't be any rep-based sort of anaerobic work for a marathon, because a marathon is an aerobic-based activity. So with that, I'm just trying to I'm trying to demystify the sort of basics behind running. I'm going out for a run today. It's just a bit vague for me. I want to have like a framework behind it. I quite like my metrics. I've got all these numbers in my head, and that makes it easier for me to understand why I'm doing a particular run on a particular day. And again, that feeds into my whole schedule and sort of goal setting mindset. So that makes the whole thing for me a heck of a lot easier, and hopefully you'll agree. Hopefully you can use this to your advantage, put it into your goal setting, put it into your schedules, and get something useful out of it. Just wrapping this one up, thanks very much again for watching this. I really do appreciate it. I'm still trying to figure out what this whole YouTube thing is all about, how I can best sort of articulate my thoughts and feelings and ideas, and how to get them across as well as I can. I think that's why I've sort of chosen YouTube as that kind of platform. Instagram and Facebook have their place, but sometimes I think that thinking out loud and vocalising is a little bit better for me. But having said that, I'm still in the infancy of this. If there's any tips or tricks or suggestions that you have that I could improve upon, I'm happy to hear them. Or if there's anything you want me to talk about, let me know, and I'll put it into a future vlog. So the name of this channel is Next Step Running, and that's kind of what I'm always thinking about. What's my next step going to be? What's my next schedule going to look like? How am I going to hit my next target? What's my next goal going to be? That's what I love about running, because even if you hit a target, you hit a goal, there's always another one. It keeps on going, it never stops. So I'm always thinking about the next step. How can I achieve this? How can I achieve that? And hopefully, if you're going to get something out of these, watching some of these vlogs, along with the millions and millions of other sort of runners on YouTube, we're all sort of trying to do the same things, help you to become, a better version of yourself. Hopefully, I think I've become a better version of myself as I've went through, these past few years, just running with other people, trying to make myself faster, fitter. And that's what I'm trying to do. Hopefully, pass some of that on to you so you can become a better version of yourself as well. That's really what this YouTube channel is all about. So again, thanks for watching. Think about your next step, and I will see you in the next vlog. Thank you.